Ian Moon saw me. He was doing a movie called End of the Golden Weather, and Andy Anderson is a New Zealand actor who he couldn't do a part. And so in about 2 weeks they needed to find someone really fast, and Di Rowans, who was she's a casting director, she's not anymore but she used to be. So she said to Ian Moon, go and see a stand-up and see what you think. And so he gave me a part in End of the Golden Weather. With this movie, because I hadn't acted before, he made me watch everyone's rehearsal. And in those days, I don't know if it was normal, but if you did a film, you'd rehearse it. Not so much now, but. And so I think there was about a 3-week, maybe a 4-week, or maybe 3-week rehearsal, and I watched everyone's rehearsal, and I learned a whole lot from all these, older actors, and then there was the younger actors my age, and it was really interesting. And Noonie just sort of helped me out, sort of taught me how to act in about 5 weeks. The character that I did on Shortland Street, Dean Cochrane, he wasn't. Well, I don't think he was as funny as me. And so I had to learn not to do, just for this character, I had to sort of pull back the comedy a bit, which is quite hard to do when you could tell that if a line was said this way, it would be quite funny. But that wasn't really my job to do that. It was kind of just to be there and be sort of stable and reliable in terms of the character, When you do fast turnaround television, you learn to analyse scripts really quickly, and you get to the bone of the scene real fast because you haven't got a lot of time, and you're not. I mean, very seldom you might have 2 or 3 goes, and then sometime during the week you might block something. You block the scenes, but you don't actually. And you might rehearse it slightly there if it's a difficult scene, but typically you're not rehearsing much, So so you have to get to the bones of the scene really quickly, and so it teaches you in a scene what's needed, what's actually trying to be said, and what's the subtext for your character, and so you learn to do that really quickly. But the only problem with that is once you leave fast turnaround television, that can become a bit of a disadvantage, So you've got to sort of get rid of that as well. Yeah. It was fabulous. He's one of the most relaxed actors you could ever possibly work with, and he's funny, but he's as solid as anything. Like he doesn't. If you're in a scene and it's got to get nasty or really high energy, he's there as well. And then if it's laid back, he was just so easy to work with. I haven't seen him for years either because he's been an Aussie. But I'd do that in a heartbeat, work with him again because he was just so much fun. Yeah. I got to meet Holly Hunter, and I was being real cool around Holly Hunter because everyone was talking and chatting with her, and I was being real cool and and I was looking out to sea. I was such a wanker. Looking out to sea, and all these people are chatting to her, Holly Hunter, and then she came over to talk to me and said to me, "I saw you on the television last night," because I was on an ad or something, and this is Holly Hunter. And I went, "Oh yeah." I didn't even look at her. "Well, it's been cool, man." "Oh yeah." She went, "Yeah." She said, "It's fun when you meet someone that you've seen on the TV." I said, yeah. She went, "Oh, okay," and walked away and never spoke to me again because I didn't talk to her. And I figured she was actually going to ask me out. If I had talked to her, I could have actually right now been in the States and been Mr. Holly Hunter. Mr. Hunter. We used to do this thing where we'd come into because it's cold down there, and we'd be in the set, and we're outside a lot with overalls and greasy overalls, and Ant Starr is a very funny person anyway. And we started this thing where we'd say, "Tony, are you going to do it? Is that how you're going to do it?" Because it's a thing that actors do. They do this. They say, and we started doing it with him. "So, Tony," Bert Munro's the name of the character. "So is Bert gay? We're going to do it gay today. Is that how you're going to do it?" And he'd go, "What? But he just sounds a bit gay, just a bit gay." So you do that a lot with people because it's fun. But you do it with Anthony Hopkins. Well, we wondered what it would be like. Well, he just loved it. It was fun. And so you could say that. So it got more and more ridiculous as we went on, But he'd take it. It was good fun. I enjoyed working with him. he was a QC, so he wasn't just a lawyer, and so I wanted him. I got him to speak in these rhythms. I'd heard this QC. My father in Palmerston North lived next door, or a couple of doors down, to a QC, and he had this strange way of talking, and he'd start really slowly, and then he'd end up really fast. And he'd do it all the time, every single time he was doing anything, he'd end up like that. And so I tried to get that in, and the truck driver Murray Keane was the director when I first tried it, and he said, "What the f*** are you doing? You know, you're talking like a clown, you know." Anyway, I tried to explain it, but he couldn't understand it. So I kept a strange rhythm going all the way through it, which unless you know it, you don't really notice it. But Robin noticed it. Robin Malcolm noticed it, which was kind of she said, "That's quite interesting what you're doing there." I think she was being slightly sarcastic because I'd also given him a bit of a high pitch. He's a lot more aggressive than me, though. You know, I made this backstory for him so that, because if you don't have a backstory, you don't have any sort of foundation. So I made this backstory that he had been married, he had a daughter, but the drink had got to him, and drugs and stuff, and so the daughter and the wife had thrown him out, and even though now he was sober, they still wouldn't see him. He was that terrible to them, you know. And if you notice, he wears a wedding ring the whole way through, but he's not married. But that's the thing, he wears a wedding ring. So I could get this. So I found this real basis to him that I could come from, and go back to when you needed to, you know. The scene that I was auditioning with was a telephone scene. There's a telephone scene in it, and he's doing a lot of yelling and a lot of swearing, but he's saying these great things to the bureaucrats of the health board, sort of thing, and all these things. I know people that would have loved to have said these things. In fact, when we did it on the day, the woman who was running the boarding house, she came out of the office because they're all quiet, they're all listening, and she came out of the office and hugged me and said that's exactly what she's been wanting to say for years. Yeah, they don't realise that Mike wrote it though. I just said it. Chris Bailey, so he's a producer of Go Girls, and I went in and he said that he's got this idea where he'd give me a wig, right? And I said, I don't know about a wig. And he said, well, you know, it'd be a really cool wig. It won't look like a wig. You'll look really cool. And I went, oh yeah, well we could try that, you see. So I go out there, they try this wig out, and to me it looks like a wig. It looks ridiculous, like a middle-aged Greek woman who's let herself go, you know, with a perm. And so I'm looking at it in the mirror, and I said, well, that looks ridiculous. And the makeup woman says, no, that's fantastic. It looks fantastic. Then they get people in, and people go, wow, man, that looks really cool, you know. So then I decided I'll go up and see Chris Bailey in his office and show him how ridiculous this is. And as I'm walking to Chris Bailey's office, people are going, man, hey, Greg, is that you, Greg? Man, you look so young. Well, I didn't know it was you, you know, that sort of thing. God, you look cool. So I get to his office and I stand there and I said, look at this, look at this. He goes, what? That's fantastic. You look great. That's really cool. That's good. So anyway, he convinced me that it looked great, right? So I go along and I do the first day I do the thing. When we come to the wrap party at the end, it turns out that he told everyone, all the people, all the crew, if Greg asks, his wig looks terrific. So I'd walked all the way through to his office and people go, no, man, you look cool, man. That's great. He's a con man. Chris Bailey is a con man.